How's it going, YouTube? My name is Matt Sherman. I'm the founder of Seed Scout, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the 5 most important mistakes that first-time founders and fundraisers make when raising capital for their startup. Okay, I want to caveat this video with, this isn't just for first-time founders. You could have already built a company, an agency, something like that, exited it, and you could be coming into this world and you could think you're hot stuff. But in reality, if you're a first-time fundraiser, the first time asking other people with money to give that money to you in exchange for some equity in your business, this all applies, okay? The reason it applies goes into the first mistake that people make when raising capital. They think the game of business building is the same game of raising capital, when in reality, they're at odds with each other, okay? So when you're a founder and you say, oh, look at our revenue, look at our CAC, look at all these numbers that don't have any emotional appeal to them, and you tell investors how great your numbers are, they're not gonna be excited because that's not actually how capital raising works. The way capital raising works is storytelling. It's emotional. It's getting them invested in your vision for the future. And if you bootstrap the company in the past, you realize that all this is kind of BS to you. All you care about is pleasing customers, building a great product, providing great customer service, etc. But it really doesn't matter in the VC world. In the VC world, it's what are you doing in the future, not what have you done. And this is extremely counterintuitive to first-time fundraisers, okay? That's the first thing. You got 2 games. You got business building, you got fundraising, and they are very different, okay? So that's the first mistake. People don't realize that. So if you realize that, you've already got past the number 1. Number 2, first-time fundraisers are way too ambitious with their fundraise goals. They might start their fundraise saying, I'm gonna raise $3 million. I'm gonna raise $4 million. You know why? Because my idea is that good. My vision is that large, and I just gotta find one VC to sell my vision on, and I will be able to raise that kind of money. Well, in reality, if you already have a lot of relationships with investors, that maybe could work. But if you're watching this, I'm gonna take an educated guess that you don't. And if you don't, it's not gonna work, because when you talk to investors and you say that you wanna raise $4 million, but you've only raised nothing so far, or you have a 10 grand check from your uncle, it means there's so much distance between your fundraising goal. There's so much risk that the investor would need to take on that they would rather just pass. Okay, so to avoid this fundraising mistake, start by, lowering your expectations a little bit. Instead of raising 4 million, raise 250 grand, raise 500K, raise something under $1 million, because then it at least gives an investor who writes a 25K check an idea of, oh, this check will really go the distance for them, versus if they wrote a 25K check when you're trying to raise 4 million, it doesn't go the distance at all. It's a tiny speck, okay? Don't be too ambitious for your own good. That's the second mistake. The third mistake founders make is related to the last point, is that when they do want to raise money, they think they need to find a lead investor in order to raise other checks. And in reality, this isn't generally true if you're not raising a priced round. And if you've never raised money before, you probably aren't raising a priced round. You're probably raising on a safe or a convertible note. Okay, so if you want to raise 500 grand or 750 grand, you don't need one investor to cut a check and then call them a lead so you can raise, money from other people. What a lead means is they are pricing your round. They're putting in a quarter to a half, if not more, of your round, and they're helping round up other investors to get into your round. But this is only a priced round, which means you have to be raising $2, $3, $4, $5 million. And this also means they join your board. If you're raising on a safe, you can take checks anytime. You can take a 10K check there, 25K check there, 50K check there. You don't need a lead. So when you communicate to investors, oh, I just need a lead when you're raising on a safe, that's a mistake that makes you sound like a rookie. And that's okay. We all have been there, but now you know better. So to get past this mistake, note if you're raising on a safe, if you're raising on a note, you don't need a lead. You just need people to believe. Okay? Cool. The fourth mistake that I find a lot of founders make is they don't understand the rules of the game. So this relates to the first point in that you have to understand that it is a different game from business building. But this point is they don't understand verbiage. They don't understand the context. They don't understand the words they're supposed to use, the words they're not supposed to use. For example, if you tell an investor, hey, I'm looking to exit this company, in 10 years or 5 years, and I'm going to try to aim to have give you a 3x exit. And investors are going to hear that, and they're going to think, well, at least they know that this person knows they're supposed to sell, but they're not supposed to be thinking about that right now. Even though it's technically right to be thinking about that, technically, not really. It's so early. You should be thinking about going for them. You should be thinking about IPO at this point, not about selling for your investors, okay? So that's one thing that makes you kind of sound like a little bit of a rookie. I mean, in addition, I think going back to the last mistake is saying that you need a lead when you're raising on a safe sounds like a rookie. Going to, investors, telling them your cap is like 500K, okay, which is super, super, super low, when in reality it should be between 2 and 5 to start, even though your company may not be valued that high, is one of these mistakes. So this is kind of a meta point, but the point is that you need to understand the game before you can play it. And the best way to understand is to make some mistakes and get in there, but if you can watch some videos on this channel, learn some of these mistakes, you might be able to bypass them in the future. And the last mistake, the general mistake that founders make when raising their first round is that they set too high of a minimum check size. They think, oh, I'm important, I'm a big deal, my minimum check size is 100 grand. If you don't have 100 grand to give me, not a fit for me, not a fit for my startup. And this is so stupid, so stupid. If you haven't raised money before and you've one person willing to give you $1,000 of their hard-earned cash in exchange for ownership in your company when they could have invested in any other company, but they want to invest in yours, why would you say no when you have no other leverage? Maybe I get having a minimum check size of $2,500 or $5,000, etc., but you should not have a high minimum check size because the only person that serves is your ego. You're like, oh, no, I'm a big deal. If you don't want to invest 25K, that's fine, but you're not in. But you need the capital. You don't have the leverage. They have the leverage. So when someone wants to invest, take their money, then see if they can connect you to other checks. That's how this works. It's a networking game, okay? So those are the 5 mistakes that I see founders making when they're raising their first amount of capital. The 4th obviously was a little meta, which is a lead into some other videos that we're going to do. But if you cover all 5 of those mistakes, you hear what I'm saying, you understand why they're mistakes, and you try to mitigate them before you make them, your chances of raising capital go up significantly. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like below, subscribe, and if you really liked it, check out Seed Scout at seedscout.com. I think you'll love what we have built. Thanks for listening.